back to Amandasaur Art, or welcome to Amandasaur Art. I'm Amanda and I like dinosaurs and art. Today we are finally doing another dinosaur piece. I know it's been a couple of weeks. This is something I worked on while on the plane to California recently, and I actually got it done within like 2 hours, I think, on the plane, which is amazing. But when you're up in the sky and you have really nothing else to do, you can just really tone in on drawing and all that. And so I had a lot of fun making this piece. This is going to be a Velociraptor from Jurassic Park. I think the picture I found was from the Lost World Jurassic Park, to be specific. And so yeah, that's what we are working on today. Right now you can see me working with a red pencil to create my initial sketch. The reason I do this is so I can be as messy as possible and just start to figure out where things are meant to be, where they're supposed to go, and all that good stuff. And so right here is where I do that. And what I like to do is I like to start smaller so I have more space to move around and I have unlimited amount of room to work, and then I can blow it up bigger. And even though it does pixelate with the red pencil when I do blow it up to the size it's supposed to be, that doesn't matter because this isn't what the final sketch is going to be, so I don't mind if it pixelates the red during this step. I struggled a bit with finding how to do the spacing of things for my Velociraptor. What ended up working really well for me was doing basic shapes, which is, I believe, a technical thing that most people recommend people do. I, for whatever reason, was not doing that method for most of this video so far until I finally did it, and what a shock, it worked. And so I started with that, and then I worked on the eye. My favorite thing to draw is the eyes on things because that is a focal point to me. I always go to the eye to see where those, like how that looks. Everything else does matter, but that's the focal point. So I want that to like stand out and be exactly how I want it to look. Everything else, it's okay if it kind of does its own thing to me. So right here you can see me kind of defining the lines just a little bit more. I made another layer so I could erase these lines a little bit better on here, and so I did something I normally don't do. This is a different thing I was trying out, and instead of using a black inking pen or just a pen in general, what I did was I used the 6B pencil with black to do the outline, and I love the way this looked. And so that is what I did here. A tip I learned from a fellow artist on YouTube who has much better instructional tutorials than I do. Her name is Lockery Fine Art. One thing she talks about when she does fur on animals is making sure that the fur is going the same direction when you're drawing it, so that way it feels right. And so here, when I was doing the back of the head, I wanted to make sure that those like wrinkles on the back of the head were going in the same direction as in the photo I was using for the reference. And so that was very important, and I think that helped curve the head the right way. Once I began shading for my dinosaur, I started to use darker lines. I did go in with a pen eventually to kind of darken some areas up. Not every area, I don't believe, but most areas I darkened up, but I wanted that fuzziness from the pencil to be there still. This is just so I have a contrast to go off of. For me personally, I like to establish my darkest points, then midtones, and then add highlights on top, or I'll mix it up, but usually what I like to do is go darker than lighter to start with, which is not a good habit to get into if you're painting or something like that. Starting with the lighter tones and building up to the darker tones is going to be the way to do that, because you can't as easily hit the undo button as I can here with it. For most of this video, you're gonna think I just stuck with the usual black and white for my dinosaur, but I did venture into doing color with this. I just started with black and white because I didn't think I was gonna add any color. I thought it was gonna be another black and white dinosaur, which is what I'm very comfortable with doing. And so, because I was on a plane and I had nothing else to do, I stepped outside of my comfort zone, and so that was really fun and exciting, and I love how it turned out. As you can see, with me working on the back of the head, there were some specific highlights that were happening. So there was highlights on the top of the head, then it got really dark for some of the back of the head, and then the highlights switched to the bottom. It's going off the reference picture I was using for this to help establish those, and so I struggled a little bit with that. In the end, I think I did a pretty good job with making it all feel like the light source was the same as the picture, if that makes sense. That was pretty difficult to do, but I had fun with that. I love light sources that challenge me, and this one definitely challenged me, especially with the wrinkles in the back of the head, because you have to make it hit just right on one part, and that was challenging, but I think I did an okay job with it. This drawing, I wasn't intending for it to be such a sketchily feel to it, but it felt right for the style I was going with. It felt right to leave it just as a sketch, just plain old sketcheroony. Nothing blended too perfectly. You could see each different layer I had for it, for each different part that I was working on. I made a separate palette for my Velociraptor just so I could keep track of the colors I was using, what ones I was seeing in the reference picture, what ones I kind of wanted to play with and all that, and just so I knew what I was using. And so right here is where I'm adding color to my dinosaur. It's not a lot, I'm not going crazy here, but I love how the color came out. It turned out so cool. This drawing inspired me to do another one like this, and I think I'm going to do another one like it, so I have a little series going where I draw dinosaurs in this way. And that's one of my favorite things, when I'm able to be inspired by something I created and know that yes, I am capable of doing that. So I want to do it again. I want to create something else similar to this, with this style, with this in mind. And I think it's okay if you're proud of something that you've made and you're inspired by your own work, because it's exciting when you're able to make something that you doubted yourself most of the way through, but you were able to do it. I played around with a toned paper background. I've always wanted to do that in real life with a real toned paper, but I just never get around to doing it, so I decided to throw the toned paper look on the back of this dinosaur, and it turned out really cool, if I do say so myself, which I do have another dinosaur coming up in a couple weeks with a toned paper background as well. That's all I have for this week's video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed my little plain sketch of a Velociraptor, and I hope you have a wonderful day.